You are
UFC
now
298,
listening
the
to the
featherweight
Hot Take
title,
Hot
ladies and
Box.
gentlemen. Alexander the Great Volkanovski putting it up on the line against Ilia Topuria. He is 26-3. Ilia Topuria is 14-0, undefeated. I am so excited about this.
15-0 per his bio.
Yes, he's already announced that he has won this fight. So that is, I mean, if you're a gambler and you trust him that he's got the inside info, then you might as well go in and fire your life savings responsibly on Alexander Topuria. That's what his name is on the betting website. So I don't know.
Alexander, his brother?
Yeah. That's
they just signed, by the way.
That's what they literally have his name on, as Alexander Topuria. So I really hope it's not him and Ilya's the one fighting, but
yeah. Alexander's good, but he's not that good.
Topuria is a slight dog in this fight. The odds have gone all over the place. Pretty sure Volk opened up at, a minus 175, 160 favorite, and now it's down to minus 120, 130. Topuria is a plus 105, 110. Ty, I must let you lead. This is your guy. You've been tailing this man for a while now, probably, I mean, at least since the beginning of this podcast and since he made his UFC debut. I got to give you the floor and tell us why you think it is Topuria's time.
Yeah, I've been on him for a minute now. I think I remember watching his fight or seeing the tweet, a highlight of him knocking out that guy right before he got to the UFC at Steven Goncalves. He got dropped bad in that fight by a head kick, and he was able to survive. It's kind of interesting. Both these guys have been dropped by head kicks multiple times. The difference is Volkanovski's been knocked out twice by them. The one time was a long time ago. I think he was at 170 when he fought that fellow. It was his first career fight, his fourth pro fight against Corey Nelson. And then when he fought Islam, who is obviously one of the best, in the business right now. So don't want to compare those two to Steven Goncalves and Jai Herbert, but Topuria was able to recover from both of those. I think he. My only real question is if the moment's too big, if it's too early. I mean, I think he's ready. I think his game has honestly just improved so much. I mean, you got to take a look. I don't want to give you the backstory of his whole life, but he was born in Germany and moved back to Georgia after I think it was the Civil War, the Georgian Civil War. I could be wrong on that. My history is a little sketchy. And then he started doing wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, and then moved to Spain at 15. That's probably why he claims Spain, or claims it so heavily. He's not Spanish at all, but moved to Spain at 15 where he started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then just started fighting. And, early in his career, he was just pretty much a submission guy. Like, he was taking these guys down and just submitting everybody. And then I'm not really sure what happened. I think pretty much when he got when he just, I think, settled in, it seemed like, because his first four fights were against, absolute bottom of the barrel guys. And then he started fighting some better competition. And then he started realizing his power and started boxing more. I think he was actually, I think he looked up to Canelo, watched a lot of Canelo. And it kind of makes sense when you see how far along his boxing's come in his career. I mean, the Yusuf Zalal fight was his debut, and it was on short notice, but it wasn't the greatest. Damon Jackson fight was kind of a little slow until he put him out. But, dude, he just makes improvements every single fight. He's so well-rounded. He's ready. He's composed. I mean, the Josh Emmett fight showed he can do this for 25 minutes. He can put a beating on people. His striking defense is probably what I'm most worried about here, but I think he takes a shot well. He's not scared to exchange. He can recover well anytime he gets rocked, anytime he gets hurt. Again, maybe he's too young. He's 27. I'm trying to think of anybody. I always talk about that 35-year-old club that Volkanovski's in. I think the only fighter to ever win that was 35 or older and beat somebody who was younger than 35 was Tyron Woodley when he beat Darren Till. The other ones, Tyron Woodley beat Damian Maia and Nunes beat Aldana, who were both 35. So that's something to look for in this fight. I honestly, I don't even care really about any of that, to be honest. I do think this might be a quick turnaround for Volk. Has it been 4 months since he got head kicked, right? That's not too long, or that's not too short, but he took that fight on 11 days notice. It's just been a lot. We're seeing less Eugene Behrman now. I don't know if you've noticed that. More Joe Lopez, because Eugene Behrman did not like the fact that Volk took that fight so short. And he's also talking about taking a fight on 300 to save that card. Jumping ahead a little bit, I think both these guys are looking ahead too much. That kind of worries me a little bit. But I think they're both on fight night. They're going to be locked in. They're going to be dialed in. I just love what Topuria did in his last fight against Emmett. He gave out a 50-42 card in that fight. Do you know what other fight had a 50-42 scorecard in UFC history?
No.
Max Cater had one.
Okay.
Rich Franklin back in the day against was it David Loizo? Dave Maness, Gil Castillo. These were back in like the 90s, early 2000s, so not many. I think he would be the third youngest featherweight champion ever. Slightly ahead of Conor, who obviously beat Mendes for the interim belt, which he then unified with the biggest fluke ever.
Come on.
He'd be, you know it's true.
Have some respect.
I think Max was 25 when he also won the interim belt because Anthony Pettis missed weight. And then Aldo, who won it at 23, that was in the WEC. So Topuria would be putting his name up there with some of the greats in the history books. And I just think he has Volk covered if it gets to the ground. I think he has the better hands. The one thing I will say, I feel like Topuria might stand too tall and too heavy on that front leg. Volkanovski loves throwing those leg kicks.
Yeah.
Just the feints, the output, the leg kicks for Volk. He's so tough, man. He just gives you different looks all the time. And obviously he's tough as nails, but I do kind of worry about his durability. You know, he's getting older, and this is the first time in a long time he's fought somebody with a similar build to him. And he's been fighting all these tall, longer guys. The last time he fought one of those guys was Chad Mendes, who did drop him. I know that was it's been a while. It's been a long time since then, but I think that's something to notice. You know, if he doesn't get those if he can't chip away at Ilia Topuria right away and damage his front leg, and I think Ilia Topuria hasn't really been a big leg kick guy his whole career. Honestly, him and his opponents have kind of pretty much been even in that. He doesn't headhunt, but he goes to the body really well, sets it up. He'll finish to the body. He'll mix up to the body to the head in the same combo. I just love his boxing. I love his speed, his counters, everything, and obviously he has that power. I'm gonna go Ilia Topuria by knockout. I think he gets it done, wins the belt, and sends Volkanovski packing the 155.
You've taken that on the card.
Yes, I am.
Wow. How about that? Ilia
I think
Topuria.
there's a chance he could sub him. I know Brian Ortega couldn't sub him, so maybe nobody can, but I think Topuria's a little different. You know, he gets you on the ground, he'll elbows and whatnot. He'll make you feel uncomfortable. Then I could see a club and sub, but honestly, I think he's just going to get it done. I think he's going to hurt. He's going to make Volk feel his power, and then I just don't know if Volk can sustain. I don't know if he can stave off his power. Honestly, I just think he's going to find him eventually. It might be early. It might be really early. Honestly,
Topuria TKO plus 360 is on the board right now.
It was in the 440 range before, so I see. You know, some people are saying, he can go 5 rounds, but can he beat Volkanovski? And can he win a decision over Volkanovski? Maybe. Honestly,
maybe. Anything can happen.
Right. We've seen it before. How the fuck did our boy Almeida go 5 rounds with Derek Lewis? Different story here for sure. Maybe he can beat him in a decision. I think he could. I think he could outpoint him, but it would be very tough to do. You know, as you get into the deep waters, how are you going to win rounds 3, 4, and 5 against Volk? It'll be tough, but I just think he's going to send him packing. I think this is his time. I think the stars are aligning. Volk coming off of that head kick knockout. I think Volk is can be hit. And I just think his hands, Topuria's, are much better here.
All right, so I agree with a lot of what you've said. I just worry, you made mention of, is that I think Topuria is underestimating Volkanovski, and I think that is a grave, grave mistake, if he truly is. If it's not just bravado and talk and, hyping the fight up pretty much. It seems like a lot. Honestly, though, from listening to the guy talk and following him through this last couple of years, it seems like this is just who this man is. He's
ready.
He believes in himself. He's confident. He does give off a little bit of a Conor-like
the
aura.
confidence, the fucking
He has
the vibes all around. His coach said, "Hey, most people don't touch the belt before they win it. They think it's bad luck. And he said, that's the difference between me and most people.
Yeah, he's a sick
Wow.
individual, and you saw what he did to Bryce Mitchell, made him look like a bum, and that is one of the things though, Ty, that it really does worry me is Ilia Topuria's strength of schedule. Obviously compared to a guy like Volk who's been the champion for a while, but
yeah,
Josh
it's definitely
Emmett,
something to consider.
Yeah, Bryce
but that's
Mitchell,
a big step up though. I thought Josh Emmett and Bryce. I mean, look at who did Conor fight before he fought Chad Mendes? Dennis Seaver.
Yeah,
look at everybody. Everybody who was a champion was once a prospect. And before they were a prospect, they were a contender. So and before they were a contender, they were a prospect. Before they were a prospect, they were a regional scene fighter. So I agree. 14-0. In the grand scheme of things, not that many fights, right? Doesn't have a lot. Hasn't tasted defeat yet. But he's had some time. He's had some tough times to overcome for sure. I didn't think he was going to survive that first round against Jai Herbert. He was rocked most of that round, and that's a low level. If some would say if you can't look amazing against Jai Herbert, how are you going to beat Volkanovski just a couple years later? But I just think I'm going to let you continue though.
No. Yeah, I'm basically saying a lot of the same stuff. Like that is a worry. But ultimately, it's not a thing that's going to make you like swing one way or the other because it is not. I've always said this, and sometimes I don't like it, but it's the truth. It's not really your fault if you are not able to get lined up against this guy, that guy, or have this great level of competition leading up to your title fights. It's everyone has different roads to get to where they're at. This guy's skill set is his skill set. He's dangerous with his hands. He's dangerous on the ground. He's somewhat durable, obviously, because he's received a shin to the side of his dome and has been able to bounce back and recover and get the guy who did that to him out of there. I'm just not as, I would say, confident as you are, obviously, in Mr. Topuria's ability to get Volkanovski out of there. The thing that I would normally be a lock to take Volkanovski in this spot because of the number and everything surrounding it. I just worry though that, and we talked about it when this fight was announced, that it's only 4 months ago that man's head was punted into the bleachers, and I get it. It's 4 months is a good amount of time, but that's how long did he take off before he hopped right back in the gym and was training again?
Right. 3 fights in the last calendar year.
Yes.
It's a lot.
And, and
2 losses.
He talked about he wasn't taking care of himself before that second the Makhachev fight. There's a lot of little things.
Depression, right? Wasn't he depressed?
Yes.
Or he said he was dealing with something, he was drinking a lot. That's got to be there still a little bit.
Partially. And that's one of the things that worries me because I think a lot of people are just counting on that it's Volkanovski the Great. Like he has been truly. We have discussed it on here a million times how great this man is. He really is. Like he has been a staple of the UFC and especially the staple of the featherweight division. He basically took it from Holloway and has been running with it ever since. And we haven't even really gotten any. He's had close situations, but overall, these fights haven't been all that close since he fought Holloway. He's taking care of Yair. He's taking care of Ortega, other than a, close submission here or there. But I can't get over the fact that this is still Alexander the Great. And this is still one of the best featherweights of all time. And I just don't know how he doesn't find a way to win this. Like you said, maybe he chews that leg up. I think he's going to be a little bit longer. I think those jabs are going to be there, but is the striking defense of Topuria going to be able to keep him at range and be able to get in without getting hit? I don't know. I'm going to take Volkanovski money line here. And I'm literally not that happy about it. And if this were a prelim fight, I would not take it because I don't really have a confident view on either side. But this is the main event. This is the featherweight title. I can't sit on the sidelines Taking Volkanovski money line minus 120.
Wow, wow, wow. I thought you were going to follow me into war, at least with the money line pick. However, I can't be mad at you taking the all-time great. We've seen it happen many times. I just think, the biggest key for him will be those leg kicks. And the thing when you throw those leg kicks, you're open to be countered. Ilia Topuria has amazing counters, quick hands, a great piston of a jab, beautiful uppercut, beautiful straight right, and then he throws a nice, step back, pull right straight hook, kind of like Floyd used to do, like Canelo does. I think that's what he's gonna chip him up multiple times. He's gonna have him maybe not backing up completely against the cage, but he's gonna catch him, and then from there he's gonna take over. Relentless finisher. Let's go, baby.
The problem is they really don't have I usually can get a read, and I know the MMA math doesn't matter, but they really don't have a lot of common opponents or any. Do they even have any common opponents?
I don't think so.
That's the thing.
No.
We talk about that on here. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The MMA math, it's not. But I like to see what either one looks like against the same guy, and kind of try to figure out how they would match up against each other. And they have just fought completely
it's
different
tough
guys.
Because Volk won the belt in 2019 and Topuria made his debut in 2020. So, he's going to be fighting the Damon Jackson, Brian Hall, and Bryce Mitchell and Emmett's of the world. Emmett was the closest we can get. Honestly, Emmett, for being your last fight before getting a title shot, is not too bad. I mean, who did Volk fight before he won the belt?
Aldo Mendez, Elkins, Jeremy Kennedy, Shane Young.
Yeah, some of those guys. Aldo Mendez definitely legit opponents, but still,
even then it was kind of they were fading off towards the wayside by that point. I mean, beating Holloway 3 times you can never not hold that against him. But again, he's finished his last two of his last 3 opponents at featherweight. It's just I don't really feel good about this bet at all. I don't.
You shouldn't.
No, because this is a dangerous fight for Volkanovski.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.